This is Tom Fox. I live in the Texas Hill Country. On Friday, July 4th, Kirk County saw the worst flooding it has ever seen. At this point, as I'm recording this podcast, nearly 70 people have been found dead, and there are many, many more people still missing. I'm going to ask you to please consider a donation to the Hill Country Flood Relief Fund. I've listed it in the show notes. I know it's a little bit unusual to make this request, but I can't tell you the tragedy that has unfolded in my home county over the 4th of July weekend. Thank you for your consideration. And now, on to the Daily Compliance News. The Daily Compliance News for the last day of July, yes, July 31, 2025, the Forgotten Generation edition. And we begin with that story from the Wall Street Journal, which reports that GenXers are being dissed yet again. Those GenXers who waited their turn to be CEO are getting passed over. So the GenXers who waited for those pesky baby boomers to retire, and of course we haven't, are now being passed over for leadership roles that are going to millennials and even Gen Zers. So the torch may be passed, but millennials are working for it. It's been reported that 41% of chief executives are at least 60, a jump from over 35% in 2017. But the share of CEOs in their 30s and 40s has grown, and that's millennials. So Gen Xers born between 65 and 1980 have really had few chances to lead. Many Gen Xers believe if they paid their dues, their time will come, but sure not looking that. Sorry, guys. Next up, in a really interesting insider trading scheme reported by Bloomberg, French authorities are investigating a network that allegedly tried to court elite university students and junior bankers, betting that one day they would have top finance jobs and would hand over market-moving intelligence. One of those students later worked for Rothschild on a secret $2.3 billion plan to delist Christian Dior, a deal that never surfaced publicly, but it triggered suspicious trades. Authorities said the relationship between the tipster and the network began years earlier when he was a student at one of France's most prestigious business schools. Next up, from the New York Times, the ex-president of Colombia, Alvaro Uribe, has been convicted of corruption. He helped shape politics in Colombia for the past 25 years, and Monday of this week, he was found guilty of fraud and corruption. It was the first major conviction of a Colombian leader. The ruling by the court is likely to further divide the nation, which has debated the legacy of Mr. Uribe's role in history in Colombia. And finally, from the Financial Times, the former oligarch owners of Ukraine's largest bank were ordered to hand over almost $2 billion in assets by England's High Court in a fraud case that became a test of Kiev's commitment to tackling corruption. The two owners owned a private bank until it was nationalized, and they were found to be jointly and severally liable for losses through their fraudulent lending practices. They were ordered to repay $1.9 billion in monies that they illegally purloined. So corruption in Ukraine still stays in the news. Over the July 4th weekend, we had perhaps the worst tragedy to ever hit my home county in its history over this weekend. And myself and my family are fine, but multiple others who lost loved ones, lost family members, are obviously not fine. So if you can find your way to help with any donation, I would greatly appreciate it. This is Tom Fox. Thank you very much. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow.